G'day and welcome to Daily Insights and Storytellings with me, Moon Willow. I'll start with a little bit of housekeeping first. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, I really appreciate it. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you like or dislike what I'm doing here. At the bottom of the description, I will also be putting in access to my website, and I actually got around to doing another blog yesterday on there, which gives quite a very potted history of how I wound up in this particular country. The g'day I come by very honestly, and I think I mentioned that yesterday with looking at time differences. So I guess in a way that's still percolating underneath within the ether. There's a lot of talk about going into 5D consciousness and how we experience the world and how we can walk through the world and remain true to ourselves in increasingly difficult circumstances. The other week I really wanted to go to the seaside and to spend some time there because I really miss the sea, but I chose not to because I wasn't sure whether there'd be a toilet, what was open, what wasn't. It's very, very confusing, and there's a part of me that is finding this world very confusing to live in at the moment. Everything that we understood was our right to actually walk forward, that we could live in a certain way as long as we weren't hurting other people, that suddenly has been taken away from us. So it becomes increasingly difficult to actually sit within ourselves and progress and walk in a way that feels like we're serving a higher purpose, I guess, but actually resonates more fully. And there's just so much out there that just sort of takes our breath away. Well, it takes my breath away anyway. So more ramblings. But I really appreciate everybody that's watching this and connecting in on a regular basis, and I'm really enjoying the energies that this produces as we go along. So with that in mind, we'll start with the crystals. A lot of throat clearing today. So if you just focus into the crystal bag for me. What have we got? Oh, we're back to green aventurine. This one really enjoys playing with us, doesn't it? So we're back in our heart space again. So the other day we had that really gentle energy of the rose quartz and sort of internal love and green aventurine. And I guess I probably swap them around because it's very much what comes through at the time from the crystals, from the cards, which is probably why I sort of change it as I go along, because I have no pre-plan when I come on to do this. I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to talk about it. It just comes through and I go with the flow. And I think that's what this crystal is actually saying today is if we sit within our heart space and work out what is right for us, that we can actually learn how to go with the flow and be aware of what's sort of hurting us, what's causing us discomfort, so that we can actually honour our heart space and walk more in a loving way. And what's coming through as well within that is that we're seeing a lot of people around us who have a different narrative to us, and it's remembering that that's okay, but it's also okay not to engage with that particular narrative and actually sit and find what works really well within our heart space, our heart chakra. And I'm always drawn, you're probably not going to see it on here, but I'm always drawn to the bands that go across this particular piece of crystal. And actually, if I turn it that way, it's sort of like lighter at the top. Oh no, it's equal. So it's really quite beautiful. So having a very distracted Gemini and Magpie mind today. So we'll grab some cards out. So if you could focus on the cards for me. It feels like right. And split again today. And we'll see what we're playing with, what stories we're going to be talking about today. So we've got the whip and child and basket of flowers. Okay, so the whip for me is quarrels and arguments and that real fighting energy is coming across as well. So as I was saying within that, it's that although there are a lot of other people that seem to be following the particular narrative that may be going against your heart space or how you want to feel in the world. So it's got that, as the saying, we don't have to step into it, but if we do, we end up having that quarrel and polarization and saying that we're right and they're wrong, and the truth is we're all right. From where we sit in the universe, the way that we perceive what's going off is right for us. It's when we try and make someone hear our, it's good to speak about how we're feeling and impacted by what's going off around and how that's different, and finding our voice. And my voice is catching quite a bit today. But it's to do it in a way where we can meet, that our heart doesn't end up being wounded, our heart doesn't end up feeling more sore, because we end up in conflict with people that we felt we knew for years, or we felt that they knew us, but it's like, because you're taking a different path to the one that they want you on, then that can create those real fractious conversations, but it's also coming from within as well, and it's back to, as we've been talking about for the past couple of days, those negative thoughts or the dark thoughts. And we can have that argument internally. We can get quite annoyed and angry with ourselves within, and that can become quite disjointed, and we're not noticed. If we get caught within that, then we're not actually able to see the beauty or the way that we can progress forward in a manner that actually supports and nurtures our loving heart in going forward. So feel like with having the child next to that, and the child is about new beginnings, but it's also, within this instance, I think as well, is hearing our inner self, hearing our inner child. And there are times when I feel like I'm in conflict, and there's a part of me within that ends up becoming quite small and worried and agitated, and feels like it's being abandoned or not heard. So within this, it is those constant arguments within, and sort of going into that heart space and supporting our inner child, supporting our inner being, so that we feel able to continue walking down a new path that feels and fits right for us. And within that, sort of, that's where the basket of flowers come in. It does affect our heart, and it can actually manifest itself in a physical sense, that if we don't listen and nurture our hearts, and we sort of quite negative towards it and aggressive towards it, or telling it off, that it can actually absorb that energy, that negative energy, and can put us at a health risk of actually anxiety attacks. Can feel very much like we're going to have a heart attack. And sometimes if we don't stop to listen to ourselves, not stop to hear what our bodies are trying to say to us, that we can actually end up manifesting something more severe just so that we will listen to it. And I know this from an experience. Many years ago, I got really angry in the world and wasn't giving myself time and space to actually sit with that. I'd worked through a lot of stuff, but I hadn't given myself a chance to allow it to integrate all the way down. And I ended up hurting my Achilles tendon, and then I went back to work. I went back into a space, and I thought, right, I'm going to leave. It's not what I want to do, all of this. But I was still really angry. I still hadn't allowed myself the time and space to integrate everything that was going off and how far I'd moved. So I ended up breaking my ankle. So the universe literally made me sit down for 5 or 6 months, so that I had to process everything that had gone off for me. I had to give myself the time and space for everything to integrate down and work through it. So this is coming across for me, and this is probably why this story's come back up for me, is if we don't listen to the quarrels of our heart, what it is that's hurting, what it is that's catching within that prevents us from holding that unconditional love for ourselves and other people, and that's blocking us from taking that new path and that stepping into a new way of being, because we are good enough, we are worthy for having that new way of being. And that if we don't take the time to stop and listen to our inner child, our inner voices that are scared, we can end up having significant health problems. So I think this is what this reading is about, is giving us a warning that yes, it's very difficult and it's quite dark out there, and we have those negative thoughts and they are a part of us, but we do need to take that time to actually sit and work out what new path we would like to walk on, nurture our inner being, nurture our inner self, so that we can actually progress forward without the risk of actually ending up having an illness along the way. And it's like recent decisions I made because I had quite a bit of pain around in my heart, and I made choices based on that. And it was a scary decision, but it felt completely right, and my health improved. But there has that residual uncertainty and dark thoughts, and it's, again, as I was saying yesterday, it's taking those out, having a look at them, seeing where they come from, what is it that it's alerting us, because sometimes it's an alert system that actually, if you continue on this particular path, it's not nurturing your heart, and it's giving you time and an indication, a warning signal, to actually take that time to sit with your heart space, to sit with your heart, feel how it feels nurtured taking a certain path or way of being, and how it's actually feeling more damaged or hurt by taking something else. And then that way you have a clearer indication as to how to walk forward. So this is quite a sticky reading, really, for all of us. But then again, we're in sticky times. So I think the constant message that seems to be coming out over the course of the past week or so in these daily insights and storytellings is that actually it's the remembrance that we are connected to Gaia, that we take a couple of moments each day where we actually connect with Earth and just feel her loving support and guidance, and actually take that breath in to actually sit with ourselves, to sit with our heart space, so that we're aware of what feels comfortable for us or not. And if something feels uncomfortable but we need to do it, we do it with an awareness, and then that way we don't get caught in the emotional drainage of that, so that we can actually go in with a clear intention of, right, well, I need something from this shop, and the only way I can get that is by doing this. But then we have other choices in there. Do we really need that, or can we go somewhere else, or can we ask someone else to get it for us? So there's different choices within that. There is always choice. Nothing is actually mandated particularly. We always have a choice to do the things we want to do. It's just giving ourselves time, space to breathe into it, to actually make that decision from a loving heart perspective and unconditional love for ourselves and others around us. So I'm hoping that that's making sense for people out there. And I'm going to see which sort of sound comes out today. Vocalization, I never know exactly what to call it. It's an energy sound. It's something that I'm accessing and has been done for centuries in just connecting and clearing on an energetic level. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to you joining me again on tomorrow. Please remember to hit that subscribe button so you're notified when I do get round to putting one out, and I hope that this has been of benefit to some of you. I do offer individual storytellings, and I have various slots available, so please contact me through my website or in the chat box underneath, and we'll figure out a different way. Also, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, so you can connect with me through there. Thank you ever so much for joining me again today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love you. Bye.